Are you planning a destination wedding in the Caribbean and Mexico and are worried about seaweed or seagrass? Let's talk about it. Hey, this is Jack with Vacationies. Do me a favor and subscribe to the videos. Just push the button and you'll get notified. Now, I know this is something you never think about when planning a destination wedding. Seagrass, seaweed. So if you've seen the news recently, and you've watched the videos in the past, there's what people think is this seaweed on the beaches in Mexico, Punta Cana, throughout the Caribbean. Recently we saw that there's this 5-mile blob of it in Florida, and it's all over the beaches of Florida. So first let's talk a little bit about it, and let's talk about ways to mitigate the seagrass or seaweed if you're having a destination wedding in Mexico or the Caribbean. First of all, let me just tell you, it's not seaweed, it's actually seagrass. So let me explain to you what I know about this. It is Sargasso seagrass, Sargassum, and it's from the Sargasso Sea. A lot of research has been done on this down in Florida at FIU University or Florida International University, plus other places, but it's a global problem and it's related to the water temperatures in the ocean, and it's that the seagrass is coming over from the Sargasso Sea, which is, I understand, in Africa. So it comes over through the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, primarily the Mexican beaches such as Cancun area. Now, it's mostly in the warmer times of the year. So how can we solve some of the problems? So the first thing is, if you are worried about the seagrass interfering with your destination wedding, my first suggestion to you is have your wedding between approximately October and March. Historically, there has not been an issue with the seagrass then. Why? Again, because the water temperatures of where this stuff is floating from, and once it gets into the jet stream or the Gulf Stream and comes over to Mexico and the Caribbean, it's just not there. The water is not warm enough for it to be there. So again, that would be my first hint, would be choose a time which would be October, November through about March or April, and historically it has not been in any of the Caribbean destinations or Gulf of Mexico, Cancun, Riviera Maya then. Now, the other thing is the resorts are doing a great job. So if we look at the resorts, what they're doing is they're having workers there that are digging it up, moving it off the beaches. They have these machines. Some of the resorts have actually gone out and put barriers in the water to try to stop it from hitting the beaches. So the resorts know this is a problem and they're trying to resolve this. Now, what I can tell you, my experience has been, you just don't know. It doesn't just blanket a whole shore. I've been in Riviera Maya where I've been on one beach and the next day it wasn't there. I've been at one beach and been on that beach and legitimately went less than a mile down the beach to another resort the same day, and it was at one beach and not the other. So it's just hit or miss. You just don't know. Now, what I will say is that the resorts try to do everything they can from the wedding perspective to resolve this for you. So it's almost like thunderstorms and hurricanes and things like that, and the wedding team is going to talk to you about it. So if you're having your wedding on the beach primarily, that's when we have issues. If they have a day that they can see a forecast, just like the weather, they can see forecast that this stuff is coming, then what happens is they're going to talk to you about it. And they'll ask you what you want to do and potentially suggest other locations at the resorts. Now, if you're having your wedding on a rooftop, on a pier, in a garden, you don't have to worry about it. It really is from the perspective of just the beach. Now, you have two things related to it at the beach. One is, in some cases, it washes up on the beach and it's on the beach. And in other cases, and I've had this a couple years ago in Punta Cana, where it was so bad that it never really made it on the beach, but you couldn't get in the water because from the beach area all the way out, I would say 10 or 20 feet into the water, it was just all over the place. You'd have to push your way through to get in the water. It doesn't sting you, it's not harmful to you, but the problem is sometimes it smells like a sulfur smell. So it's just hit or miss. So if you're contacting me or your travel planner and you're saying to us, hey, I want to have my wedding, but I want you to guarantee me there's not going to be any seagrass. I don't think any of us can if you want to do the Caribbean or Riviera Maya Cancun. So my second tip for you is if you don't want it, then don't have your wedding in any of these destinations, which is not going to happen because everybody has them in these destinations. But if you want Mexico, we do not see the seagrass on the western side of Mexico. So look at Vallarta, Riviera Nayarit. You can look at Cabo. So we have not seen seagrass there. Also, in the Cancun area, it has not been as bad in the hotel zone as it has been north of Cancun in Costa Mujeres, Playa Mujeres, and south of Cancun in Riviera Maya down to Tulum. Another place would be Isla Mujeres, which again, I think it's because the side of Isla where the beaches are is the protected side, so we haven't seen it there. So again, if you are thinking about having a destination wedding in Mexico and the Caribbean, you're worried about the seagrass, there's nothing anybody can do to guarantee anything, but I think in summary, my two tips are have your wedding between, say, October and March, April, and there's a higher likelihood it won't be there, or have your wedding in a place that typically doesn't get it, which is West Coast Mexico. But again, if you're looking at having a wedding in the Caribbean and Riviera Maya, Cancun, that area between, let's say, May and October, there's a potential that it's there. But again, it could be there one day and not the next day. It could be at one resort and a mile down the beach. It may not be at that resort. So if you get it, there's no guarantees on anything. It's just something that is out there. And the resorts, I think, are doing everything in their power they can to either mitigate it, remove it, or give you options for your destination wedding. This has been Jack with Vacationese, talking about seagrass, sargassum, seaweed for your destination wedding.